Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're gonna take a look at Chandelure in the Open Master League. And there's a reason for this, and the reason is already on the screen right now. I kinda want to counter Xerneas. Xerneas is everywhere, especially after it was recently released back in raids with a new fast move, which really makes this Pokemon meta. I kinda wanted to get rid of it, and honestly, Chandelure is a fairly decent pick for this. Why is that the case? While you don't do super effective damage against the opponent only does resisted damage against you. They're going to have close combat, double resisted, and Moonblast, single resisted. So this Pokemon itself will be able to beat this Pokemon, or like Xerneas in general. But not only this, it also beats Xerneas answers. So people that kinda want to also counter Xerneas, going to run something like, for example, a Metagross. And if you're going to run a Metagross against a Chandelure, you're not going to be the happiest person. So, for example, here, this is going to be the first game where we kind of get completely hard-walled, sadly, if the team from the opponent was completely flipped, which is usually the case where you have the Kaiwei in the lead and the Xerneas in the back. I would have been completely hard countering them, but now I'm gonna get completely hard countered as I'm forced to shield up the Blizzard here. I have 2 moves stored, but the opponent has already the close combat stored, so I'm going to lose this game because they're going to still survive that one. But I guess their game bugged and they were not able to throw that charge move, so sorry to the opponent there. They most likely would have won this first game here while I'm still taking the victory. Let's take a look at the second game. Coming up here, we're going to see the Metagross swapping in. Honestly, I have so many frame drops right now, it's kind of annoying. But we will be able to go for a Flame Charge here against the opponent, and we're going to get the knockout. This is the cool thing about Chandelure. You're going to be able to completely destroy Metagross, but also you're going to be able to destroy Xerneas right now, which makes Pokemon a little bit better in the current meta, as we can still go for one Shadow Ball. I actually removed the legacy move Poltergeist on this Pokemon. I had this on before because was showcasing it for the community day, but it is so bad, like there's no reason to not have Shadow Ball on this Pokemon right now. Maybe eventually you have to use an Elite TM again on this Pokemon, but yeah, right now there is no reason to run Poltergeist, a very bad move to use on this Pokemon, especially. It's a decent move on something like the Dusclops, which is a little bit bulkier, which can get to the move a little bit easier, but 75 energy moves are just a little bit tricky for this Pokemon, which is very squishy. So here we're going to have now the Dragonite against us, where we can go ahead and get the shield advantage, which I'm going to take here, as I'm not going to shield up the next move. Maybe I can even get to another Side Strike here. Let's take a look at this one. We cannot. We die on this one. I actually was kind of surprised that we died on this one, but I'm going to let this next move go through as well. And now we have to hope that I'm going to be able to win this game just with our Chandelure. Let's see what they're going to have in the back. It's going to be a tough one. We're going to see the extra doll coming back in here. And we will be able to shield up the next charge move from the opponent, as we can go ahead and go for the Flame Charge. You see me here going for a shield and going for one more fast move, because the opponent is now energy dry. They're going to get 3 fast moves here right now, but the next Incinerate damage comes through at the same time as the opponent gets to their next charge move, which will allow us to knock them out thanks to the buff. And now we're going to have the Togekiss in the back, and the opponent has nothing to do against the Chandelure anymore. And by the way, this team worked out really well. I only did 3 sets with this team so far, but I had, I think, a 4-1 and a 5-0. I can't remember the other one. I think it was like a 3-2, but I only went positive for sure with this team. And Chandelure really destroyed opponents there. And yeah, honestly, I had a 5-0 with this team, which is kind of wild. Yes, my elo range is not as crazy. Like, I'm not at like high elo range, mainly because also Catch Cup was around. But still, like 2,600, 2,700 rating. Fairly decent there. And here, for example, we're going to see the matchup against the Xerneas. It's still a little bit awkward because Chandelure is a glass cannon. It's an absolute glass cannon, but we were able to farm them down after one Shadow Ball, and we were able to still survive. Go for a charge move here against the Groudon, which is most likely one of the worst Pokemon to face for this team. Groudon is a little bit tricky, as both the Elite as well as the Pokemon in the back going to be a little bit weak against it, but there's still ways to deal with it, as you're going to now here have the match up against the Giratina. I can swap into my Dialga, which can take those charge moves better than Precious Blade for sure, but we still have a shield disadvantage. Maybe we're going to get rid of this disadvantage with the next charge move here right now, and we do. So now we're even shields, and I'm not going to shield anything from this Pokemon right now. The scariest Pokemon on the team, or like on the side right now, is going to be the Groudon. Groudon might be able to sweep me endgame, as I can one-shot basically the Mewtwo with a Precious Blade from this range, but I will be even able to get to another charge move here right now, and I can snipe the opponent with my Mewtwo, go for one side strike here. We got some damage thanks to the Shadow Ball earlier on onto the Groudon, and this is going to be all it takes to knock them out, and this is going to be a good game. So we were able to win this next one here as well. Let's see at the next opponent here what they're going to run. They're going to run a Dragonite in the lead. Fairly decent lead for us. They're most likely going to swap out eventually, but again, here we're going to have our big problem, Groudon. And honestly, I think if you play this a little bit better, this might be not as much of an issue, at least in this case. But I might not play it perfectly. What we're going to do here right now is we're going to swap out into the Mewtwo, but the issue is one Side Strike does exactly not enough damage. Like, we would have needed like one more Dragon Breath or something in beforehand in order to knock them out, but like this, they literally were able to just barely get to the move here, forcing me to use a shield. Of course, I will be able to still get my shield back against the Dragonite or get the knockout against the Dragonite. But yeah, okay, we're gonna get the shield back here, for example, but still not going to be as nice, especially as the opponent going to have the MEWeedle in the back. I'm going to swap out immediately into the Chandelure, which maybe was not the smartest idea. I remember here right now, of course, that the opponent still has a ton of energy on their Dragonite there, so I'm gonna go for a complete undercharge here because I kind of want to get rid of my own Chandelure and try to farm down now with the Dialga, so I might be able to still get to a move here, but it's going to be risky. Hopefully they don't get to another superpower. And that's kind of the story of my recent games, to be fair. They always survive with 1 HP, like literally every time I try to play anything, they always survive with 1 HP. There was like a video recently as well where they always survive with 1 HP. I don't know what's wrong right now, but not the luckiest day for me, as we're now gonna get counter-swept by the opponent's Dragonite, and this is going to be a good game. Not a lot that I can do here, really. And of course, always we're going to never get the move off with our 1 HP, so that's kind of nice. But yeah, next opponent, we're going to see here the Giratina in the lead, and a Togekiss in the back. And my opponent makes a huge mistake here right now, which you're going to see exactly here. They're going to shield this move up, which does not make any sense at all. Because I can just go ahead, go for a shield myself. They're gonna go for the Ancient Power. I will be able to overfarm by quite a bit. This will allow me to knock them out with 1 Flame Charge, but also this will allow me to get to another Shadow Ball against the opponent's Giratina, which either gonna get knocked out right now or loses its final shield. And they're going to decide to lose the final shield, which is totally fine for me. I can go back into my Dialga. In comes the Sylveon. I'm just gonna go ahead and go for 1 Iron Head first, as this is going to do some decent damage against the opponent, but also I can just swap out into my Mewtwo, and I will use a shield here actually, which is kind of interesting, but I will be able to just farm them all the way down, get to a Shadow Ball against the opponent's Giratina, and honestly make a small mistake here. I should have definitely went ahead and... Okay, never mind, they're going to forfeit anyway. That might have been a different game. But what I wanted to say actually is that you're going to be able to store both a Shadow Ball as well as a Side Strike at exactly 100 energy for the Mewtwo, which is very important because then you can just spam both of them, and you can go for a Shadow Ball first and then start the Side Strike afterwards, which is kind of important to have, to be fair. But yeah, here for example, we're going to see the matchup against the Metagross, and I underestimated this one. I thought they needed 1 more fast move, but they didn't. And like this, I'm going to be 2 shields down in this next matchup. I have 100 energy on my Mewtwo, which is going to be definitely nice, but they're actually going to have a Groudon in the back. And Groudon in the back is, as said before, not the best one for us. So we're going to try to catch the Fire Punch here, which works out really well. But sadly, the opponent, no matter what, is going to be able to outspeed me to the next charge move here, so... There's not a lot that I can do about it. They're gonna go for the Precious Blade here, for sure. They're always gonna be faster than I am. And now I'm going to be forced to go into my Dialga, hoping that they don't get to another charge move. And as you know already, 1 HP and a Fire Punch. This is fine for us. We will be able to survive that. And now we're going to see the Xerneas in the back. And yeah, I don't know. This is going to be a tough one. I don't think that's going to be a win for us, because the opponent knows they can take a charge move here. My only play was to catch what's called the Close Combat, but they don't even go for Close Combat, so yeah, I have 2 Side Strikes stored right now, but they have a move stored themselves, so there's no lot that I can do about it, as they will be able to just go ahead and go for the totally unnecessary Moonblast here. They could have just went for a Close Combat, would have saved us all some time, but it's fine, as you can now see the next opponent. Going to be a Togekiss. This is a very decent matchup actually for us, but in comes now the Snorlax. This might be a very tough one for the Mewtwo, but luckily it's the Shadow variant, and the Shadow variant cannot take 2 Side Strikes. Normal variant would have easily been able to take those 2, but here right now, this was an easy knockout for Mewtwo, allowing us to realign. Also, still allowing us to get to a Side Strike against the opponent's Togekiss here. So we're still going to have our good friend Chandelure in the back, but also we're going to even get to another Side Strike here right now, and the opponent gets completely obliterated by this Mewtwo, forcing another shield, allowing me to go into my Chandelure using a shield against the Ancient Power, or the Dazzling Beam if they want to, but in comes now the Metagross, and I have literally no idea what the opponent tries to do here at this point of time. Like, you have a 1 HP Togekiss and a Metagross against a Chandelure. I don't think that's going to work out too well for you. So as you're going to see right now, Flame Charge coming through, going to get the knockout, one more fast move, all it takes, and we will take this victory. Next opponent coming up, let's see what they're going to run. Lugia in the lead, fairly decent lead for us, we will be able to stay in for this one, but also our backline can definitely take this one. But in comes now the Groudon. As said before, I kind of want to get the opponent into a range. I can go ahead and go for an Iron Head and maybe even go like now into my Mewtwo and farm down afterwards. But as you will see here right now, again, the opponent is not in range for the Side Strike. This is like the awkward thing, like I literally just need like 1-2 more damage or something against the opponent in order to get there, but now, like this, we're going to have to invest another shield against another Precious Blade that comes in against us. But we can go for the full farm down now, and in comes the Lugia, which has to take a Shadow Ball here, which will be fairly decent. But I will make most likely a misplay here right now, as I'm gonna go ahead and go... No, never mind. I actually can still go ahead and go for another Shadow Ball, which is nice. But I'm going to try to catch a move here right now into my Dialga. Did not work out at all, and we're going to encounter the worst possible Pokemon in the bag, the MEWeedle. And we will see something interesting though. They are running Double Iron Bash. Superpower is a must-have on this Pokemon, which we're going to see exactly here right now. But with them only running Double Iron Bash, we know already that our Chandelure is completely safe. Like, there is nothing they can do. Double Iron Bash is not doing damage. So, we can go for the full farm down here, but I expect the opponent to swap out eventually, so I'm going to swap out here into my Mewtwo, which doesn't matter because I can still go for a Side Strike. I feel like I lagged there a little bit, but yeah, let's see here. Side Strike, not going to get the knockout, but it's going to put the opponent into a range. I can go for one Flame Charge in order to knock them out, which is all it takes here right now. So this Lugia is gonna go down. Our Chandelure is going to be able to get the knockout, get the attack buff, and the opponent's MEWeedle has nowhere to go as they're gonna get incinerated down. Next opponent coming up, another Giratina lead. A great lead for us, we're going to see the Kyogre coming in. Even better for us, as we can now align our Pokemon correctly, as well as we're going to basically not have the alignment against our Chandelure for the Kyogre matchup, which is really important. As I let one move go through, knowing that it wasn't a Blizzard, it still hurt quite a bit, but I will be able to get a shield advantage here right now, and I can even go for another Iron Head here against the opponent, and actually get a double shield advantage, allowing me to swap into my Mewtwo, use a shield here, and get a ton of energy. And this energy is even more important than any shields in this world. As we now see the Giratina coming in, we go for the safe play. 2 Side Strikes. Yes, Shadow Ball is super effective, but Shadow Ball does around like 80% of the opponent's health, not putting them into farm down range, while 2 Side Strikes is enough to knock them out. So that's kind of the awkward thing, to be fair. I feel like if you have a Shadow Mewtwo, it might flip this matchup a little bit more, but a normal Mewtwo just doesn't do enough damage with Shadow Ball to knock out an opponent Giratina. So now we're going to face the Kyogre. We're going to see that I can fully farm down with the Dialga, and they're going to have a Groudon in the back. They only have 1 fast move advantage so far, so I know that I can go ahead and go for 2 Side Strikes here right now to knock them out. And that's all it takes to win this next game here, as this next Side Strike is going to knock them out already. And we didn't even see our Chandelure all game here right now. Kinda poor Chandelure there, but let's take a look at the next game. We're going to have a Lugia against us in the lead again here. Very decent lead for us as I swap out into a MEWeedle. I swap into my Chandelure here, but if they don't have Double Iron Bash, it's going to be a little bit tricky, as they're going to run the Rock Slide. But I still will be able to realign here if I play it correctly. I can go ahead and go for a charge move there. I can get another fast move in actually, and I will be able to go for another fast move after this one, which will allow us to go for another Flame Charge. This is going to knock out the opponent, and we can realign our Pokemon. So, like this, we are both at 1 shields left. We see the Lugia coming back in, but now we're going to see the Ho-Oh coming in, where we can swap out into our Mewtwo, going for a Side Strike here to do a ton of damage, but they're most likely going to shield this move up to go for the Sacred Fire afterwards in order to debuff our attack. Let's see here what they're gonna do. They're gonna go for the Sacred Fire, but they don't get the attack drop there, which is really nice. So, like this, we can go for a Side Strike, get a lot of damage onto them, and they are gonna go ahead and go for the Brave Bird most likely. No, Sacred Fire actually again. And we can still farm them all the way down, so that's totally fine for us. And we see now the Lugia matchup against Dialga. Yes, Lugia matchup against Dialga is actually fairly decent for the Lugia, but only in like several shield scenarios, not in the zero shield. Because Lugia's fast move is actually doing quite a lot of damage against Dialga, but like the charge move itself, while Aeroblast still hits hard, it just doesn't hit as hard as a Draco Meteor from a Dialga here. So we're going to take this win here for sure, as you're going to now see the final battle of today's video, which will be against Forrest Gump here right now, great name. We will see the Dialga mirror matchup here in the lead. They're going to have a 100% variant, which I also would have, but I found it funnier to build up my shiny one. And now I'm going to, of course, save up my XL Kenny for the potential of Dialga Origin. If you haven't seen my video about the new evolutions or like future regional forms of Pokemon, definitely check that one out. Also, Dialga Origin is in there. Good friend of course, Giratina Origin, which you're going to see here right now. We're going to do the same play against the opponent again. Two Side Strikes here is going to be better than a Shadow Ball, sadly. But this Side Strike is going to get no shielded, actually. Great play by them. But I can go for a Steampita here, now forcing either the shield or the knockout, and we're going to force the shield, which I'm going to take. Or do I? No, I'm going to actually shield up my own move here, or like the opponent's move here, and we will be able to go for another Side Strike to knock them out. And it's going to still be a very tricky matchup here, but at least we're going to get rid of the Giratina, as you're going to see me swap into my Chandelure, and we're going to see the final Pokemon being the opponent's Xerneas, which is going to be amazing. As they go for the Moonblast, I will be able to go for the Flame Charge against them, and I should be able to outspeed them still, but let's see what the opponent is going to do here. We're going to see the swap out into the Dialga. I can knock out the Dialga, and it's still going to be a little bit of a tough one because they can knock me out here as well, but I get a ton of damage against them, and they're going to decide to just undercharge this one completely so I can get another knockout here, and our Chandelure did its job. Great Pokemon, actually, like great run for me. Very interesting one here. Hope you enjoyed this one. Definitely hope that we're going to get some move updates today, but we will find out shortly. Hopefully we're going to get some news for the new season today, but that's going to do it for today. Hope you enjoyed it. Check out the videos on the screen, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.